You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All righty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good on this fine Tuesday. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks for winning Super Bowl 60. Well earned, although I would argue that this is probably going to be one of those Super Bowls that people just kind of forget. Like, the only thing it has going for it is that it had a nice round number to it. Outside of the fact that it's an easy to remember number, nothing memorable was really taken from this game, unless you're a Seahawks fan. And again, congratulations, you guys earned it. But yeah, I'm doing good, right? Getting to jump into it, starting to look at some free agents here, and now that all the coaching, just about all the coaching stuff is set, right? Seattle needs to bring in a new offensive coordinator because I haven't seen them name anybody yet, and see what Clint Kubiak does for the rest of his staff. So we got a couple positions here, but we are pretty well wrapped up. So now we're gonna go into the free agency. If we have time tonight, we'll kind of break down some of the upper echelon of each of the offensive skill positions of who's available out there. But other than that, I'm 25 was not as good to me as I wanted it to be for fantasy purposes. So this gives me a chance to reset and kind of recharge here for just a little bit as I gear up for 26 and make it the comeback. Bounce back year is what 2026 is going to be.
There you go. Yeah, 2025 was a bit of a letdown, especially when we got into the playoffs there. But onward and upward, right?
That's right.
You're right. It was a rather forgettable game on that one, right? Like you get through the entire first half, and the only thing that's happened is a bunch of field goals, right? Like it was some rough watching on some of that. So, yeah, I mean,
I couldn't tell, Derek. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No worries.
For the longest time, I couldn't tell if it was great defensive play or poor offensive line play. Both teams were getting after the other's quarterback, especially in that first half, right?
Yeah.
The big difference is Seattle was coming down with sacks and New England was just getting pressures. But Sam was able to get just enough on these passes that he was able to, survive, be able to throw it away so they're not losing massive yardage, that type of thing. But holy smokes, man, it was just every other play. It seemed like one of those quarterbacks was kind of scrambling for their life there in the first half.
Right. Well, and Seattle did it with a lot of just four-man fronts, right? Like there wasn't a lot of blitzes. There wasn't a lot of, scheming that up. It was our 4 versus your 5, watch out. And they just managed to get the job done that way. Right. Which when Seattle's won Super Bowls, that tends to be their way to have success is their front 4 line gets after it and makes it really hard for the quarterback to do anything.
Yeah, when you're throwing against 7 all day, it does make for long days.
Right. And it's one of those two that you start getting into that where, right, and you brought up the stat before the game that not Sam Darnold, Drake May tended to hold the ball, had one of the slower release times in the league, and how much that was going to play into it. And you started seeing that one come through quick, fast, in a hurry, where he started getting sped up fast, and started really affecting how he was reading defenses throughout that. So neither team really could get a ground game going in that first half either. So I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think we saw some offenses not necessarily perform and not really execute throughout the first half, but I think we also saw some really good defensive play on that, because even when there were some plays or some teams would seem like when the ball would start to get moving a little bit, the defense would clamp down again, and you'd see field goal kicked and or a punt, right? Like it wasn't very much a bend don't break type of mentality on that through at least that first half.
Yeah, yeah. I put a lot of that on Josh McDaniels, and maybe it's because he's the easy punching bag because he was kind of a scumbag when he was the Broncos coach, and obviously he didn't do well with the Raiders either. But he'd been in these games before, right? Like you come up with the game plan. It's not Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's there to coach. He's there to help with the defense and oversee everything. Like there's a reason Josh McDaniel is the offensive coordinator and quite frankly of choice, right? Every time he's needed to fall back in something, the Patriots welcome him back with open arms. That was an abysmal game plan. Like, I don't know if they thought that they were just more equipped than what they were. I don't know if they hadn't self-scouted in the extra week, but the Patriots were struggling offensively in the playoffs. Like you could see this. And whether you wrote the Denver game off or not, right? Because there was a bunch of snow. So you're scouting 3 weeks back instead of 2 weeks back. I'm not sure what they did as far as self scout, but uh, offensively, that was atrocious.
Right.
Absolutely atrocious to have the by one vote Super Bowl runner up, or excuse me, MVP runner up be that
Overwhelmed.
unrefined, overwhelmed, out of his league there for that first half was almost inexcusable. Like you just haven't quite seen that before. And the last time the Seahawks won a Super Bowl, right? They blitzed the crap out of the Broncos, but you felt like the Patriots were just God, why do I keep seeing the Patriots? You kept feeling like the Seahawks were just clearly the better team that day. Like no matter what the Broncos did, it just wasn't going to work. But you never felt like Peyton Manning wasn't prepared. You just felt like he had a bad day. Like Seattle just knew what was coming. This Patriots team looked unprepared. They weren't prepared for the pass rush. They didn't understand the concepts that Seattle was throwing at them. They didn't, have just simple zone beaters, right? They were, again, you're rushing 4 and you're dropping 7 in zone coverage. Well, guess what? Find your gap and hunker down. Give your quarterback a spot to throw the ball. And just was never there. And yet, New England's defense did keep it close for half. Like that
for more than for well into the third quarter, even like they kept it really close. And really, what kind of broke that open was Seattle's defense, not necessarily their offense.
Yeah, it was the turnovers, right?
Right. It was the turnover.
For the longest time, I kept thinking, sweet, like this is just close enough. Like New England gets one here late. Like this game will stay close. Like we're gonna get exactly kind of how. At the time, I imagined it, right? I kept saying 20-17. I was like, well, New England's probably not getting to 17 now, but you can still keep it within 4.5 if you get a touchdown here. Like, okay, yeah, there's still wait. That got blown out. I mean, 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That was gone. I was like, well, okay.
Right. Well, that's the thing too that I was watching that one and I don't know, right? You've got the second youngest quarterback ever starting in a Super Bowl, right? Drake May is the second youngest to Dan Marino to start in a Super Bowl, right? Like, not only that, you've got a team that's really kind of came together in the offseason. They don't have a lot of postseason success. This isn't the Patriots team from 10 years ago where they were perpetually making deep runs into this. They'd had Super Bowls under their belt. Like, yeah, the experience was there, right? Like one of those that I don't understand the game plan philosophy where you don't come out and you don't just you start mixing that in where okay, cool, we try and run, we run some pound the ball inside a little bit, maybe pick up a yard, 2-3 yards, run it to a bubble screen type of thing, quick slant, just something to get the ball moving, get into the flow a little bit and allow your guy to find a quick rhythm and get into the game, right? Because if they're running bubble screens, they're throwing quick slants, the ball hits the quarterback's hand and it's out within under 2 seconds, right? At that point, and that way you're not necessarily having to have him try and speed up his clock on you're still trying to figure out the game speed and speed up the clock on the fourth or fifth possession, at that point.
Yeah.
Just
I will
admit.
say, I think Seattle's cornerbacks took that away.
Mhm.
Right? Those first two drives, everything May did was short and outside, right? They were trying to get it out wide, at least in the beginning. And that was going over like a turd in a punch bowl.
Right.
Like, I think they were keyed in with that, which is going back to the self scouting. I think Seattle realized where they were vulnerable and they implemented some things and really worked on the fundamentals. Like, okay, we are not going to get beat this way.
Right.
We will
But
force them to come down the middle of the field at us.
right.
And the first couple drives, yeah, they gave up a couple first downs, but I mean, little flare passes, whether it was out to Ramondre, they tried hitting Henry on one, Booty. They tried doing another one of those quick passes over to Keyshawn Booty, and that got lit up. And it's like, okay, and then to your point, they went away from all of it. Like McDaniels just went like this, and he threw it away. Like screw
Right.
it. Now we're gonna have May drop back 5-step drops. 5-step drops. Well, problem was on step 4, he was having someone in his grill
Right.
because your rookie left side of the line was on ice skates all night, and you never recovered from that. Like you tried to counter once, and then all hell broke loose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it really just didn't seem to make much sense on how they did that, but we'll see what happens. Right, this coming season when right they have to play a little different schedule, right, little tougher schedule on this one instead of the fourth place division, third place type of division. Now you have to play a number one division and schedule, and we'll see how that one comes to play. And I see how much of a Super Bowl hangover there is for the Patriots next season. But yeah, the Seattle came out and they had a game plan that worked, and they definitely have one of the defenses that can go out and win a game, right? Like that was on full display in that deal that they really didn't even need their offense to do much. Their defense was able to win that game for them. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But couple of comments coming in here. Jamie saying the great old boys. Appreciate that, Jamie. This one made me giggle a little bit. Jamie saying, did you know that Bad Bunny carried the ball more yards than any Patriot player?
Yeah.
Oh. And Mario saying, good evening, fellas. I'm not sure about you, but to me, the Seahawks took it easy on the Patriots and scored all those field goals just to give them the impression it was a fair game. They got owned. I don't know that you hold up
No.
to start kicking field goals. Like that
Yeah.
Patriots defense did a really good job.
Yes. Yeah. The defense, Patriots defense did their job.
Uh-huh.
They did their job, right? Short field, a couple short fields, right? The first one, long drive down, they held them. Second, was it the second one, right? Off the short field, held them to a field goal. And defense did their job. So I would not say this. The Seahawks took it easy on them. I think that the Patriots defensively had a really good game plan, and they just didn't get the sacks. And a couple of those potential sacks turned into first downs, and then you get discouraged. Like it just snowballs, right? Momentum is a massive thing, especially in football and basketball, right? Momentum is massive,
Right.
And the Seahawks kept it. They stayed out of the second and super long. The Patriots couldn't stay out of that. Seahawks did. They stayed out of second and super long.
Right. And as a defense, there's only so many times that you can go out there and keep holding them to field goals and keep holding them to field goals and 4 and out and getting the ball back for your offense to turn around and give it right back, right? Like there's only so much of that you can really ask those guys to do when the offense goes out and doesn't really do anything or even allow the defense to catch their breath and stay off the field for a while. It starts taking its toll, right? And so
right. And the Seahawks knew, right? Every time you were trading punts, the Seahawks got closer. The Patriots could not. They were so afraid of out-kicking coverage and giving Shaheed a chance that they kept short kicking, right? So every time you're trading points, Seattle got 5 to 8 yards closer in starting field position. until they got to the point where like, okay, now we're going to get some points out of it. And now we're going to reset. And now we're going to go back and forth and do it again. Like that was crazy just seeing that and realizing, holy shit, like the Patriots are, yes, it didn't help they're not getting first downs. But on even when they got one first down, they were going backwards because of another sack or, getting stopped behind the line on this, that, and the other. And you'd still give up 5 yards. Like net, they were so worried about the return game. It appeared that instead of booming a kick down and being so paranoid that you didn't want Rashid Shaheed to beat you, like he will not gash us. You death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? So instead of shooting yourself in the foot and bleeding out, right, you're just death by 1,000 paper cuts, and that's what a lot of that was. Seahawks realized it.
Right. Well, that's why you've got to play 3 phases of the game, right? And the Patriots defense showed up. They were playing one phase really well. Offense wasn't able to get anything done, and as you just alluded to with the special teams, was not helping them out either. So, yeah. The Seattle had a great game plan and executed on that game plan, and we saw it. And congratulations, Seattle. But again, I think this is one of those that when you look back in a few years, you're going to be hard pressed to remember who played in this game, outside of the fact that it was Super Bowl 60, because it was really just kind of a forgettable game. There weren't really any of those giant moments that came out of this one. Mario chiming in saying thoughts on the conspiracy about the NFL post of the cartoonish image of all quarterbacks facing the Super Bowl in May and Sam Darnold being at the front of the lineup, like foretelling the teams at chip game.
I don't know. No one was talking about it when the playoffs really started.
Right.
Like, again, when all this stuff came out, no one called for a Seattle New England Super. No one. Right. And then even when the playoffs started, it was like, like no one really wanted to pin their hat on an AFC team, and a lot of people took the Rams from the NFC. Right? There were a couple Seattle people for sure. I'll give them their due, but there were a lot of people on the LA Rams. So again, I think we can go back through and we can look at a bunch of different things and go, oh, well, this correlates to this, and this looks like this, and I think. Where you want to find trouble, you're going to find trouble. Like it's just kind of one of those things. I don't know. I'm not buying that one.
Right. Well, it's kind of that old thought of, right, you're cherry picking stats to fit a narrative, right? And this one here, yes, it's an image and all of that, but it's the same. I put it in the same regard as all of these previous years where it was, oh, you could tell which teams were going to make it into the Super Bowl because of the colors in the logo, right? Like I think that's probably more one of those that just happened to be a lot more coincidence than anything else.
And it's all computer generated too. So what's there to say that the NFL didn't have 30 different images, right? And that you could have just as easily seen Matt Stafford and Josh Allen, right? Or, Bo Nix and Brock Purdy, whatever that is, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not worried about that.
Right. Now, if you
Because the
wanted
NFL would not have wanted a game that bad.
No.
You want to talk about being rigged? The NFL did not want a game this bad. Last year's was a blowout too. They don't want that either. That game was over at halftime too. The score looks better because you're high scoring, right? It was 65 or whatever total points. It looks better. I was like, oh, that was a high scoring game. It was terrible. The Eagles took the Chiefs behind the shed and beat them senseless.
Right.
This game, again, not a good football game. Like the Seahawks took the Patriots behind the shed and beat them senseless. They just did it without allowing as many points.
Right. If you want to, if you really want to tell me that there's a conspiracy, where we then saw right with that image, you would have had Jared Stidham been in there instead of Bo Nix. Okay, I'll jump on your bandwagon that it's a conspiracy, but if you're saying it's rigged and all of that, no, right? There's too much to go through for you to bounce that way, right? So but it's a fun conversation nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So, any other thoughts? Any other takeaways from the weekend that you want to hit up?
No, I'm not going to say from the weekend, right? I mean, congratulations to Kenneth Walker. I know a lot of fantasy owners are saying, where the hell was that all year long? That was, I'm not going to say it was by design, but had Charbonnet not gone down, we would not have seen this out of Kenneth Walker. So,
Right.
it's probably really good for him because it probably gave him a little bit more leverage in negotiating power since he's going to be a free agent, and we'll see if he sticks around or if he finds a new home here this offseason.
Right. So yeah, it'll be interesting. One of the other things that I kept seeing make the rounds were some of the folks talking about the kind of the Super Bowl tax that some of these players are having to rock and roll because of the games being played in California and their now new tax burden being more than what their game check for the Super Bowl is.
Yeah, so I should have sent you the reel that I watched because someone broke it down really well. So California, the state, has a jock tax for all
Every
professional athletes.
every state does, but it's California being one of the high tax
The
deals.
higher ones, right?
It jumps that up.
And so the Super Bowl, the players make you winning the Super Bowl, you make like $178,000
On average.
is what it is. It's not, it's not their normal game check, right? Their salary is for the regular season. Playoff incentives and what they get paid for playoff games is something different that people don't talk about.
Right.
So because of the length of time that they're required to be in the state of California and doing this with these high taxes or whatever, when it's all said and done with, Sam Darnold's the one that they're talking about. But net, it was 200 and some odd $1,000 is what Sam Darnold was being charged. So basically it cost him 76 or $78,000 to win a Super Bowl is how it was broken down. Now, in addition to what I was watching, the person who was doing it, and I can't remember to cite it correctly, so I apologize, had a really good point. If I'm the NFLPA, and this was him saying this is not my original thought. He was saying, if I'm the NFLPA, I'm going to the NFL and saying, we ain't doing another Super Bowl in California. We're not paying to do this. Right? Much like the halftime show that we were talking about.
Right.
We're not paying to go play in the Super Bowl. Like this is outrageous. Like there's no reason that we should have to be charged and pull money out of our accounts to go to a venue that was predetermined by you, the NFL, because you want to host it here. Like that'll be interesting.
It'll be an interesting
That's
topic.
The type of stuff that doesn't come up in the bargaining agreements, or at least to like the national viewership, right? Like maybe it does. Who knows? But it would be interesting to get everybody's take on that. Like, how do you combat that? Like, well, we just won't go to California anymore.
Right.
Like, force the state of California to kind of change some of that. And that's interesting, right? This is the first year it's really come up, which I don't know if it elevated. Like, I'm not sure how this tax works. So it is different because San Francisco's had this is the second one in Santa Clara since they built the stadium, right?
Right. And SoFi was a couple years ago, and
SoFi
you got
and
SoFi next
San
year.
Diego was a place where they did Super Bowls quite often. So you have two active, but you had three venues that you can go into at any point in California and do it.
Right.
It's also why Miami has a lot of them, right? These warm weather cities. So it'll be interesting. And now that they're rotating around because all these stadiums are getting facelifts and new stadiums and deals, right? The Chiefs are going to end up with the new stadium. The Broncos are going to get a new stadium. Jacksonville, there's probably going to move to London in the next 5 years. It feels like the way that's going. So that part of it will be interesting. But
yeah, and from
I don't disagree.
What I can tell with how that works is they have defined duty days that are basically spent, you know, as far as being on duty working on that. So things like practice, games, all of that to take place in the state, and it varies from state to state. It's not just California that has this, but they tend to have a higher tax rate than most, than other states that have a zero type of income tax. But not only that, the duty days are based off of the total annual salary, not just the games that took place in California or the money that was earned on those, but over the entirety of the annual salary. So, um, when you take a guy like Sam Darnold, who made a lot of money through the regular season, but then had to spend extra days in California because of the Super Bowl, increased those number of duty days that were spent during the year making that, and then changes the tax bill on that. So, but yes, Sam Darnold was the one that was kind of continuously brought up on that there. So, but yep. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that and how much that then takes place, because you really can't imagine that the NFL would want to take away those markets like San Francisco um, and LA from the from Super Bowl venues. So
Yeah, they're kind of they're staples, right?
mhm. So well, it'll be interesting too to see, because it seems like all of these other stadiums that are getting built, almost everything has a dome on it. So now we'll see how that comes to pass with these cold weather venues, since they have a dome. If we start seeing some more Super Bowls in colder weather venues like we saw in Detroit a few years back. So it'll be interesting to see how that one comes to pass as well. But anyway,
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pivot back to this picture
okay.
because I just found it and I'm blowing it up. So in the front row, you have Bryce Young, Travis Hunter, Baker Mayfield, Malik Neighbors, Drake May, Sam Darnold, and Cam Ward. You really think the NFL is trying to tell us something? Like, the reason I'd tell you that the reason those guys are so far away is because their names no one gives a rip about for the most part. And the names that you can see, right, are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, TJ Watt, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Like, those are the names that are prevalent. And then in the middle rows, you kind of have everyone else, right? You have Max Crosby, Caleb Williams, Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Jaden Daniels, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nakua, like Myles Garrett. Like, no. Now that I'm looking at this and really kind of figuring out, no, I'm not buying that one bit.
Well, and I saw one too that I think he may be referring to, because I know the one that you're talking about. There was another one that came out that just had the quarterbacks that were playoff quarterbacks, right? And in that one, it has Purdy, Allen, Stroud, Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, Drake May, and Matt Stafford in it. Purdy
Okay.
and Allen are at the and there's actually a couple of different renditions on this one. Because the one I've seen one where he's referring to that has May and Darnold up front, kind of leading the pack. But then just doing a quick Google search, there's another one that comes up. Purdy and Allen are at the back. Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud are kind of next up, and then Sam Darnold, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford are all kind of in line there, and Bo Nix is up ahead, kind of in front of everybody there. So. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think that
haven't seen that one. I'm flipping through trying to find it, but I haven't seen it.
I think that just very much depends upon which which image you're looking at, and again, very much a standpoint where these are all various generated type of images, and there's probably about 14 different renditions of floating around there. So anyway, again, fun topic, fun conversation, and yeah, seeing if you can read into things more than maybe they are, can be a fun thought process. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
Okay, awesome. Any other thoughts on the Super Bowl, or should we head on over and I've got to guess the player for you?
Oh, okay. I just found the quarterback one.
Okay,
They still have TJ Watt in there and not Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
that's
Did
funny.
you see that? In
I
the
did
top
not.
left?
I
Upper
actually
left.
the one I saw actually didn't have any Pittsburgh quarterback in there.
Oh,
So.
yeah. This one I'm looking at they're mostly quarterbacks, but it has Jefferson, which is weird because they didn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
And then it has Watt and Mike Evans. But then the quarterbacks, they add Stroud, Stafford, Love, Goff. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, sorry, you were saying?
Any other thoughts on the um any other thoughts here on the Super Bowl before if not, I've got to guess the player for you.
Now let's go guess the player. I'm ready to turn the page. I'm ready to turn the page.
Righty. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alrighty. So this guess the player, and it'll be similar rules. You get 5 clues to guess the player. And chat, if you know the player, go ahead and chime it in, and we'll see if you can guess it faster than Kevin can. Alrighty. So clue number 1. This running back finished outside the top 10, but still gave fantasy managers solid weekly value because he played 16 games.
Finished outside of the top 10, you said?
Correct.
Weekly value because he played 16 games. Brees Hall.
Good guess, but not right. Clue number 2. He had under 250 rushing attempts, but still cleared 1,000 yards on the ground.
Thousand yards outside the top 10. Ken Walker.
Ooh, I like that one, and it would be fitting if that was the one, but
It would be, which is kind of why I was leaning into it.
yep, it's I had one geared up for him. I'm like, that's going to be way too obvious with him having just win that. So we're going to pivot and not go Ken Walker. But I like the guess. Kenneth Walker is incorrect.
Okay.
Clue number 3. He was efficient on the ground, averaging close to 5 yards a carry.
Games, 5 yards a carry, but outside the top 10.
Yeah, he was just under 5 yards a carry. It's close to 5 yards a carry.
Okay. Man, oh man. Kenneth Gainwell.
I like the guess, but no. Mario chiming in, asking if it's James Cook. Again, good guess, but this player finished outside the top 10. James Cook was inside the top 10, with James Cook being the number 6 running back overall. But Mario, I love the guess. Great guess. Here we go to clue number 4. He wasn't a major target hog. He finished with fewer than 40 receptions, but he still added nearly 300 receiving yards.
Javonte. Nope, Javonte finished just inside the top 10, didn't he?
Yeah, that is
Okay,
not.
so it's not him. So it's
not
him.
Javonte, but Javonte was number 11 in half point PPR. So
Okay. So I'm okay. I'm right there. All right.
it would have fit several of those clues so far, except for the Javonte had 252 rushing yards or rushing attempts, and one of the clues was just under 250.
Just under 250. Okay. All right. So I'm sniffing. I'm sniffing in the right area here.
You have You have kind of peppered around this guy with some of those guesses, but it is not quite there. All right, last clue. He scored 9 rushing touchdowns, and this quietly carried his season.
No, it's not Bucky. Bucky didn't play enough games.
Nope, not Bucky.
All right, it's not okay.
Mario did say Bucky as well. Again, I like the guess.
Oh yeah, that's where I was looking at that. Like it can't be Bucky. He didn't. That's where I thought that. 9 rushing touchdowns. Was it Chuba?
It was not Chuba.
I know he was in the doghouse and he missed what, a game? No, he missed 2, so he couldn't have played 16. Damn it.
It was not Chuba. I'll give you one final guess.
All right, what you got?
Alrighty. So the answer, this guy finished at running back 15 on the year with 223 rushing attempts, 1,087 yards, 4.9 yards a carry, 34 receptions for 299 receiving yards, 9
Oh,
rushing
okay.
touchdowns,
9 rushing touchdowns. All right.
and 2 more
How many-
receiving touchdowns.
Oh, just 2. Okay, so I don't think it's RJ Harvey then.
It is not RJ Harvey.
He had more receiving yards than that,
Yeah,
or receiving touchdowns.
and Mario's final guess was the King. It is not Derrick Henry. The answer for number 15 RB on the season was DeAndre Swift.
Oh, okay. Man, he was on my team too.
Yeah.
He was on my team too. I guess I would have told you he had more than just over 250, not just under 250. But I guess all that splitting with
Magunga, yeah.
Magunga, yeah, ate into that. Okay.
Yeah. 223 total carries. So
got me with my own Georgia boy. Damn.
Alrighty. Smokey the Cat chimed in and said the easiest parlays and money was this Super Bowl. It might have been easy, but it was boring. I'd rather have entertaining. I guess if you're raking it in though, that can be entertaining in its own way.
Yeah, if you're making money.
So at that point, my watchability was not where I'd hoped. But alrighty. So pretty good one there, right? And some of those ones we had running back 11 called out. Heard running back 18 called out, running back 17 called out, running back 22 called out. Like there was several, you're kind of peppering all over the place there with some really good guesses. So you were getting close. All righty. Well, anything else you want to hit up, or are we ready for some final thoughts?
I'm good with final thoughts, unless you want to touch on some of the big name free agents.
No, yeah, let's go ahead and hit those up.
Save that for quarterback. I'll breeze through some of this. Right, quarterback's really uneventful. We're going to leave it at that. So unless there's cuts or trades, the quarterback market is pretty uneventful. The Daniel Jones, they were technically right. Like technically, the Colts were planning on extending him or franchising tagging him. So that one's still out there because of his Achilles injury. Malik Willis is an interesting one. Aaron Rodgers. And then you go down to Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo that aren't currently under contract. Again, there's potentially more options. So quarterback's not sexy. Malik Willis might be the name that just because he did play well in Green Bay. So Malik Willis might be someone.
Contract.
Yeah. Exactly. So running back is kind of where it's at, right? Running back is there's a lot of free agent depth in running back this year. So again, we don't know if any of these guys are going to get franchise tagged or not. However, the list is pretty decent. So to headline the list, you have Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, you have Brees Hall, you have Travis Etienne. That is kind of your tier one of free agent running back. Shortly after those guys, you fall into kind of that Rico Dowdle, Javonte Williams grouping. Is where I would have that. You could argue Kenneth Gainwell based off the year that he just had in Pittsburgh, but until this past year, he didn't really sniff that category. And then you have Tyler Algier, Rashad White, Brian Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Harris. So, I mean, some wily veteran leadership. Couple guys with Dobbins and Pacheco who always seem to get hurt. Najee, who had been extremely durable until this year, and then he got hurt. And then you have a couple cut candidates, if you will: Joe Mixon, James Conner, Aaron Jones, Devin Singletary. Each would save their respective team anywhere between $5 and $8.5 million if they were released. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But those are the names that people are going to be talking about, right? These are names that it's good to keep an eye on, right? Where some of these guys are going, right? Does Kenneth Walker get a chance to be a workhorse somewhere? Right. There's been a link, especially with Walker and Brees Hall. There's been a link to Kansas City. There's been a link to Denver. There's been a link to New Orleans. Those are the three consistent teams outside of their current team, or the team that they just finished the season on, where these guys are being linked. We'll see how that plays out. Again, these are darts being thrown here at the moment, but Walker, Hall, and Travis Etienne should all do well for themselves here in this free agent cycle. And then hopefully they just land in spots where they can be fantasy relevant for us.
Right.
Any other of those names stick out?
Not overly. You hit kind of the major ones there.
So I'm going to jump into wide receiver then. George Pickens kind of headlines it. Rumor is that the Cowboys are going to franchise him. We'll see kind of what goes from there. So, but nevertheless, he's currently free agent until the Cowboys do franchise him. Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts has kind of some sneaky good value for a team who's looking for kind of a bigger body guy who can also get downfield. Like he is like a very miniature version of Mike Evans.
Right.
Brandon Ayuk is technically still a 49er, but those two want to get away from each other so bad, right? Like he didn't even file a grievance with the NFLPA when San Francisco voided out his contract for this year.
Right.
So we'll see. Like he has to be released, whether it's pre or post June 1. A lot of that, some cap numbers will kind of figure into that, but we'll see Brandon Ayuk with a different team in 26. It will not be San Francisco. Mike Evans is on here if he decides to come back or if he retires. We'll see what happens there. Romeo Dobbs. Dobbs is an interesting one. We'll see what the Packers want to do. He's been their most reliable option at wide receiver over the last 2 or 3 years. Now, the Green Bay Packers have kind of a gluttony of wide receivers on their roster, a lot of young talent. So, are they going to keep Mr. Reliable in Dobbs, who does a lot of things well, but doesn't do anything great? Or are they just going to keep pushing for the younger guys to step up? Rashid Shaheed, right?
Yep.
He played his mercenary tag well for the Seahawks, right? Had a couple big plays for him, but in large part did not play as much as I thought he was going to once he went to Seattle. Very much as a special teams specialist, came in on the few 3 wide receiver sets they run, but Seattle didn't run a bunch of 3 wide receiver sets. They ran more 2 tight end sets than they did 3 wide receiver sets going down the stretch.
Yep.
Wandale Robinson is another one. Debo Samuel,
Okay.
Juwan Jennings,
Mm-hmm.
Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen kind of round out that list. So you start getting in some guys who are a little bit older, right? Debo, Juwan, Christian Kirk, obviously Keenan Allen are all 29 or older at this
Right.
point. So a little bit older there. So not anything super fancy, but we'll see how that comes out. And then to go along with some cut candidates, maybe some other guys we're looking at. Tyreek Hill, if he gets cut by the Dolphins, they save 23 million. Cooper Kupp would save the Seahawks 9.5 million. And then Darnell Mooney of the Falcons would save them 7.5 million.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes.
It'll also be
And
interesting to see what San Francisco does with their wide receiver room, right? Because Brendan Ayuk, it's it's assumed that he'll no longer be there. Juwan Jennings is a free agent. Kendrick Bourne is a free agent. I think really about the only guy that saw any playing time for them at the position was Parasol. That's under contract for next year at this point.
yeah, that part is interesting. I could see them retooling, right? Like if I could, even if it's not super sexy retooling, like trying to grab like a Shaheed and an Alec Pierce, right? You're just going with speed and play through that. I don't know. That part will be interesting. Or maybe they decide to bring Juwan back. Who knows?
Right.
Then tight end, really headlined by Kyle Pitts. We lost Derek. Tight ends being headlined by Kyle Pitts. Finally had the season that we had been hoping he would have for the past few years, and sure enough, he has it, and now he's eligible for agency. We'll see if the Falcons decide to put the tag on him or not, but definitely this free agent class, he's kind of the A number one. Dallas Goedert is a free agent coming in, 31 years old. We kind of knew this coming in that we did not expect the Eagles to take another stab at Dallas Goedert. We thought that they would kind of retool that one and go for a cheaper option. Cade Otton, guy who's been kind of a quasi security blanket, flashes of putting up some numbers, but more often than not, he kind of disappeared just because Tampa Bay was loaded at the wide receiver position and their offense never really flowed through tight end. One that's super interesting is Isaiah Likely, right? So the Ravens gave the big contract to Mark Andrews. So no pun intended, most likely they will let Isaiah Likely walk and test the free agent market. So we'll see kind of what he's able to do. David Njoku is going to be a free agent. That one's a little interesting. Chiggy Okonkwo, another guy who has a little bit of fantasy relevance. He doesn't block in the run game worth a damn. So you're going to have kind of a niche offensive coordinator or head coach that can do something with him. And then cut candidates. TJ Hawkinson would save just under $9 million to the Vikings if they were to release him. Dawson Knox would save the Bills $9.6 million, and Cole Kmet would save the Bears $8.4 million. And Jonnu Smith would save who's he with? The Steelers. He would save the Steelers $7 million. So again, so some names that we're used to in fantasy, right? It is not a action-packed, star-studded list necessarily outside of the running back group, but most of these guys that I just listed off are going to be on a fantasy roster come 2026. So they are names that we want to pay attention to, kind of see where they land, what that philosophy is, and how that could benefit us going into the 26 season.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes to play and how things start rocking and rolling, and some of these contracts that start getting signed. Right, it's almost inevitable every year we get that guy signed. They sign that guy for what? type of
Right.
deal. And so it'll be interesting to see how things ultimately play out and how we see that come to pass here over the next few weeks. And we'll be hitting that up here as we go. But yeah, I do believe that that's going to take us down here to the end of it. And I do appreciate everybody tuning in and chiming in. Actually, we'll take a look at kind of a couple more things here. Actually, we'll throw it out there. If anybody has um, some thoughts around some, I guess, the players that they'd like to see, be sure to hit us up with that, and we'll hit those up here as we keep going through the off season here. Right, we're gonna start looking ahead at the free agency side of things. We're gonna start breaking down the players in the draft and get into some rookie previews. Following that up with a lot of the player breakdowns and what we're looking at and what we're thinking here for those player profiles as we start diving into 2026. So be a good off season here and be a lot of fun. If you guys have any topics you wanted us to hit up or talk about there, be sure to send those over as well, and we can absolutely go through that. But yeah, I do believe that that's going to do it for us tonight. Do appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in throughout the season, and it's been a lot of fun, and I very much appreciate everybody in the chats and all of that and all the support. I'll be sure that you hit the like, subscribe button wherever you're listening to this or viewing this at. Certainly helps us out. But you can find us on all the socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. But I do believe that that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.